Welcome to another episode of OG55. We have an update on Pandora at DCA. This is crazy stuff. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. We're going to speculate. There's a lot to chew on with this because this area coming to DCA has been a huge question mark since it was announced. And Conductor and I are going to dive into these waters, no pun intended, up next on OG55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. I got my good friend, Mr. Theme Park Conductor, with me today talking Avatar at DCA. Conductor, welcome back, sir.
Thank you, sir. And it's always great to be on Orange Go 55 and always to see that wild, wicked hairstyle of yours. And now the
glasses,
the retro style Clark Kent view back. I love seeing that. But like OG55 said, I'm Theme Park Conductor. You can find me on YouTube and Blue Sky at Theme Park Conductor. You can find me on Instagram at theme_park_conductor. You can also find me on X at Theme Conductor, TikTok at Theme Park Conductor 1, and every Sunday at 5 or 7 p.m. for Conductor Sunday live stream, where we talk about Disney, Universal, and between both companies, we speculate and we talk rumors. And a new series that me and OG have come up with in the last, I would say in the last couple months, is This Week in Disney on his channel, where we do reaction videos to some of our favorite content creators and close friends like Hey Bricky, David from Fresh Baked, and so many others. And it's a great time. Come join us.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, This Week in Disney YouTube, we do it once a week, and we take clips and various videos from the YouTube community, whether it be Hey Bricky, Fresh Bake, like you were saying, Conductor, Mondo, Five Fires, and we react and break it all down. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some news today, Conductor, because this is fascinating. Our good friend Drew, the Disney dude, has some news in regards to the Avatar expansion coming to DCA. Today, he shared this on his social media. This is courtesy of our good friend Drew, the Disney dude, which, by the way, I did a video with him the other day. It's up right now. Make sure you check that out. A great conversation, Drew and I, in regards to all kinds of stuff, the Muppets, 2026 for the Disney parks and what have you. It's a really fun conversation. But Drew here says, Disney says that the Avatar destination coming to DCA is, quote, still in early development, end quote, and we'll share more details later. It says here, the all-new destination coming to DCA draws inspiration from Avatar: The Way of Water and Avatar: Fire and Ash to bring Pandora to life in a brand new way. Guests will go on an adventure in search of majestic natural wonders that can only be found on Pandora and the beauty and danger that come along with the journey. This new and thrilling excursion will bring all the action, excitement, and wonder of Avatar, taking guests all the way to the wide open seas of Pandora. Okay, so now to set the table a little bit, I did actually ask Drew in our collabo the other day his opinion. Do you think this land is still coming? He did say on that video, yes, he believes it's set in stone. Like this thing is going to happen. So it looks like it is going to happen. But Conductor, I would be lying if I said I didn't have concerns off of what Disney said here. When they tell us, quote, still in early development, end quote, and we heard about this land or destination, as they're calling it, in 2022, we are 2 weeks away, not even really, from 2026, and this is still in early development. That concerns me. What about you, Conductor? What do you think?
So the fact, it's interesting because if I'm going to believe anybody up in the Disney community that does what we do, but at a very larger scale, I have no doubts on what Drew had to say during that video, and I cannot wait to watch it. One of the things that concerns me is, like you said, in this article he wrote, basically it sounds like they're still trying to figure stuff out. And notice something right off the bat. Like literally, it's like the fifth or sixth word in this article that Drew wrote. So for the longest time, we heard experience. Now they've gone from experience to destination. So is destination going to be the final wording of this avatar or whatever it's going to be at DCA, or are they finally going to give up and say it's a land, which it shouldn't have been named that from the get? And then the mere fact, like you said, the mere fact 2022, we're probably close to 2 weeks away from 2026. It's still in early development. I have my own concerns. First of all, when Disney came out and said, oh, it's going to go in the Hollywood backlot. Well, when I read something like this from Drew, who I have no reason to doubt, and he's saying that Disney is in early development, they've almost had 3 years to figure this out. And then on top of that, at D23, which you and George from Hollow Gelato went to, sat there and looked at a model that it looked like it was made out of Play-Doh, and there was no detail to it whatsoever besides the rock work. You really see anything else. And then they had a whole bunch of, paint brushes and little paint jars, so it doesn't even seem like they were done with it. It seems like they might have painted it and put it together that morning before the event. So this is concerning to me because, I've discussed this many times with you, whether it was on your channel or my channel on Conductor Sunday live stream. And I deliberately ask you once in a while, even though Disney said it's going to go in the Hollywood backlot, when you hear details like this, are you still sure it's going to go in the Hollywood backlot, or are you starting to second guess that they don't even know where they want to put it when they're saying wording like that?
It worries me. Yeah, it worries me when they say in early development, because they should be well beyond early development at this point. I mean, they should have. I mean, we got word, right, that Monsters Inc. is going to close in early 2026. That was the press release. So, I mean, technically, they should have blueprints ready to go. Like, this should be like, the land or destination is completed on paper, and now all we have to do is build it. I mean, we're only a week or two away from 2026. So when they say early development, that does worry me, Conductor, that they are maybe reconsidering the location. And the reason why that worries me, and I know a lot of people don't want it in Hollywoodland, but if it doesn't go into Hollywoodland and it goes into the symbol lot, that's going to be a significant delay. We do not have the infrastructure to do the symbol lot. So, I mean, that's going to push it out a long ways, and then let's just say they put Zootopia in Hollywoodland. I mean, they're starting from square one with that because that wasn't the original plan. So that's also, even Zootopia would be 4 or 5 years away at this point. So this all worries me because whether they move Pandora or whether it all kind of spells delays, significant delays, in my opinion. And I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope I'm reading too much into this, but I just feel like that is very concerning because we were all under the impression this is going to break ground pretty soon. Another concern I think for D'Amaro is he's locked into this thing. In some group chats and stuff, we were talking about this morning where it was like, is it a possibility that maybe Disney will cancel the project altogether? Now, Drew was saying no, and I trust Drew, but I seriously, if they change their mind and they end up canceling this, I don't think that would be the greatest decision for Josh D'Amaro.
No.
The last thing Josh D'Amaro wants while he's vying for the CEO job is to rock James Cameron's boat. And again, no pun intended. But you don't want to, this is the biggest guy in Hollywood, okay? And the last thing you want to do is piss this guy off. Be like, you know what, James, we're not really, your idea that we were working on, we're not going to do that now. We're going to put Zootopia there instead. I don't know. I feel like you're going to ruffle some feathers with this if you cancel it, right? And I don't know. I feel like that would be a really risky move. But here's the other thing too. Disney is very hesitant when it comes to going all in on DCA for whatever reason. They did it one time, in my opinion, with DCA 2.0 in 2012, where they really put the effort and the money into it. Really, though, majority of the time, I mean, to be fair, I'm going to call Disney out. I mean, this is how I feel. Most of the time, Disney phones it in when it comes to DCA. They don't put the same love, they don't put the same care, they don't put the same effort into this park in particular. If it's Disneyland, oh, we'll reroute the rivers of America and the railroad, and we'll make sure everything's perfect for Galaxy's Edge. I don't think Disney, at least from what I've seen the last 20 some odd years, they don't put that same love and care into DCA's projects for the most part. Now, this is a James Cameron property. So are they annoyed because James Cameron is forcing the quality thing and they probably want to half-ass it like they usually do with DCA? So now they're going to kick the can down the road. What's going on with this? Because I don't know. I'm just getting a little bit uneasy with this whole thing. And I just hope they do it really well. And I hope it's still on schedule to open in about 5 years. I'm not even a stickler when it comes to the grand opening. I don't need it to be exactly 5 years. If it opens in 6 years, that's cool. But if they're going to tell us like we're revamping the whole idea, now we're going to put it over there, and now we're going to, we're talking major delays. Like we're talking about like this is going to take closer to the end of the decade, and that's where I'm going to start having an issue with that. So we'll see. But I mean, delays are going to be a problem, but canceling it outright will be a massive problem as well. I don't know.
No, by far. And, by switching it up, possibly not putting it in the Hollywood back lot and putting it in the Simba parking lot. The only thing I could say about the Simba parking lot, and again, I'm not a construction guy, but the only thing I see happening in the Simba parking lot, if it did go in that area, is it would be a bigger footprint.
Yeah.
So obviously we would have not just one attraction, possibly 2 attractions, maybe even 3 attractions. On top of that, they wouldn't have to worry about ripping down buildings and whatnot. And it wouldn't destroy, well, I want to say destroy, but it wouldn't get rid of a attraction like Monsters Inc. right away. That way DCA doesn't lose another attraction, because we talk about it all the time. DCA does not have the best count when it comes to ride attractions.
Right.
It really does not. So if they decide to relocate Avatar to the Simba parking lot, obviously there'll be a little bit of a delay, but in the mid to long run, it might benefit better because they won't have to file permits to rip down buildings, to do it during special hours, to close DCA early because of construction or deconstruction. So in a way, I get it. They mapped it out already for the Hollywood backlot, but it wouldn't be the end of the world by putting it in the Simba parking lot, knowing that it could be a bigger land, even though they refuse to call it a land. Why, I don't know. And on top of that, it would be less deconstruction they would have to do, and they can immediately rip up the asphalt, which they could do that in a couple days flat, and then start excavating for conduit and stuff.
Right.
If it's going to take 5 years anyway to build the land, I'm calling it a land. I know they refuse to, but I'm going to call it a land.
Yeah.
The only thing they would have to worry about, quite frankly, is just building the sky bridge over, I think it's Disneyland Drive.
Well, yeah, you'd have to build the sky bridge over Disneyland Drive, but you'd also have to build the new parking structure to fill in the gaps for that loss of parking. But I guess technically you would have to, well, I say you have to do that for Hollywood Land too, but you kind of don't, because Hollywood Land, the only thing that you would really need to replace right away would be a bus load unload area.
That's true.
You wouldn't necessarily need to build any parking, because the Eastern Gateway stuff is going to be further closer to the Disneyland side.
Sure.
So they could start that technically later, but you would have to address the bus load unload area right away. So if they have another spot, they can put that, while they build Pandora, then you wouldn't have to build the Eastern Gateway to get
Sure.
Avatar into Hollywood Land. So I don't know how they're going to work all that,
Don't.
but yeah, this worries me though, conductor. This makes me feel like, I feel like we're back at square one again
We
when they
are.
say that we're in the early development. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being like an entitled fanboy. I don't really know, but I just feel like we've been watching this project for how many years? It was announced to come into DCA over a year ago, almost a year and a half ago, I think at this point, August of 2024. We heard about it officially though in 2022. And Disney comes out and says that, oh yeah, early development. I'm like, but you're closing Monsters Inc. like supposedly like in a few months. Like you don't know what we're doing with this land. Now, the other thing too, a lot of people are concerned about like the movie, like Fire and Ash. Maybe it won't perform as well as the other two. And that maybe Disney's kind of rethinking its investment for this franchise. And that's a fair point to make. I will say this though. I'm not too worried about that. I do think Fire and Ash will do well. I don't know if it's going to do 2 billion, but it will probably get into like 1.5 billion, 1.7 billion territory.
Sure.
These Avatar movies typically don't open really huge. They typically open decent, but they leg out like crazy. And I'm assuming this is probably going to be a similar situation. But here's the other thing too. If we're going to base whether or not we build Avatar and DCA based on box office, well, then I have no idea why Animal Kingdom is getting an Indiana Jones ride, considering Dial of Destiny was the biggest flop Disney's ever had, basically,
Yeah.
For me, I think Fire and Ash will be less of an issue box office wise than that movie was. And they're still going through with Indiana Jones. So I'm not too concerned about the box office really impacting the project. I think most of these issues, if they're having issues with this, is probably where to put it, like you were saying, conductor, and logistics of the park stuff. And hopefully they can get it right. And you don't want, like I said, Josh does not want to make James Cameron mad, because here's the thing too. Josh is a theme park guy. He is not a studio person. Hollywood is very cliquey. Like Chapek learned that the hard way. It's Mean Girls, you can't sit at our table. You're not from Hollywood,
No.
Josh is very charismatic. He's very likable, charming dude, but he's not a Hollywood guy.
No.
He's already coming into this, assuming he's gonna be the CEO as an outsider. And then to go in there and to already kind of ruffle feathers with James Cameron over this land. See, that's not good. You want to have all your Hollywood relationships kind of lined up, because he's already got an uphill battle being a parks guy, so that's a challenge for him. Go ahead, conductor.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because, something that I brought up on leaving today's podcast when I was on their show the other night was the fact that we're going to hear in the next couple months about the transition with CEOs for the Walt Disney Company.
Right.
And one of the things that concerns me that Udi and Mark were mentioning was the fact that the studio side of the Walt Disney Company is in really not great shape at all. It just not. The last couple movies they have done were not the greatest in the world, like Tron Ares, like Fantastic Four, the live remake of what was it, Snow White, that flopped. It was just on and on and on. So I think at this point it would be smarter to have the dual CEO, and whether it's Dana Walden or someone else that is familiar with the studio aspect, I think the dual CEO position would help here. I honestly do think so. Josh tomorrow can focus on the parks and the experiences and the cruise lines, and the studio person can focus on the finances, the studio, and all that stuff. And the company would not suffer either way. I think that's the way we need to go. And people have asked me in the chat, even online, they're all like, well, why you mention the dual CEO? Well, I said because they even mentioned, they're all like, well, Eisner didn't have to do that. Iger didn't have to do that. Well, there's two different, there's a difference here. When you look at Iger, you look at Eisner, both gentlemen came from the media side of corporate America. So when they came to run the Walt Disney Company, they had a massive head start on understanding all aspects of the company. Even I think Iger did work for Walt Disney way back in the day. I don't know what he did, but he worked for the company. Eisner, I don't know. But, when you look at DeMauro, his expertise is the parks, is
Right.
experiences. It's not the studio. It's not finances. It's not that other side of the company that also needs to be run with the same, equal standards. So that's why I honestly think the dual CEO needs to happen. And going back to this point, it scares me to honestly think, you know, are they going to annex this project? Are they going to make changes to it? Like you said, if Damaro is announced the next CEO, does he really want his first act is to clash heads with James Cameron? I don't think that would be smart. It'd be a
No.
horrible,
No,
horrible situation if he did that. It
I
would.
agree with you. No, I agree with you. I think that's a huge risk you make here when you start to get into to all this stuff. And again, we're only speculating here. We don't really know. It's just not. It's just real. It really is kind of eye opening and very surprising when they're in early development still, and we're hearing that like Monsters Inc. was supposed to close in early 2026. So it's like, and this thing was announced in 2022, and it's like, I mean, even if you don't even count Bob Iger's announcement at the annual shareholder meeting in 2022, let's just say, you know what? Let's just say we only count when it was officially announced for DCA at D23. Well, even that was a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, it's just, and then to hear that they're in early development, and then here's the other thing too. You bring up a great point. Experience, the Avatar experience, Avatar destination. They're not calling it a land. I don't know if that's just Disney speak, because they do like to get fancy with how they kind of promote these things as like more than just, it's not a land, it's a destination. I don't know if that's just like corporate PR, or if it's Disney trying to not lock themselves into any one particular thing. So if you call it a destination and it's like a mini land, like one attraction with a small little area in the front, well, that's a destination, right? That's cool. But you can't really call that a land.
Yeah.
So, are they using the wordplay as a way to get out of making a full land, or in case they don't want to do a full land, then, well, we said it's a destination, right? That worries me too. I mean, I don't know with all that. Again, that's a semantics game, but that could just be innocuous, because it could be corporate kind of thing, like corporate talk for like trying to hype it up, So I don't really know, but it could also be they're trying to hedge their bets and give themselves options in case they decide they don't want to do a whole land.
Well, see, I'm going to tell you this right now. So the mere fact, and it all comes down to this: the mere fact Iger, said what he said during the shareholders meeting in 2022. The
Right.
fact that they went into detail at the Honda Center with 20,000, fans included, with you and George and 1999, thousand fans in there, and do all this at this point going forward, looking what Animal Kingdom has for their avatar. If we got anything shorter than that, I could tell you right now that people will go in uproar mode, because you said so yourself, and I've heard it myself, and I'm sure many of us have heard it. Okay. Most people don't want Avatar in DCA, period. So
Right.
if Disney decides to shortchange stuff like they like to do, and I hate to even say it, and I'm sure people will not like me for saying that comment, you know, if they decide to go that route, I'm telling you right now, it's going to piss a lot of people off. So at this point, they're too well invested in this to make it anything shorter than a land. They either need to make it a land or don't bring it at all. That's the way I see it, and probably hundreds of thousands of people that go to the Disneyland Resort, whether you're a Magic Key holder or whether you're fortunate to, buy tickets several times a year. I don't think at this point going forward, the PR for the Walt Disney Company and Josh Tomorrow possibly taking the reins, it would not be in his best interest to shortchange this IP anything less than a land. And on top of that, Monsters Inc., because I saw a post online, I forgot who posted it. They said, Disney's now even backtracking when they even want to close Monsters Land, or not land, Mike and Sully to the Rescue attraction in Hollywood Backlot. They can't even confirm that. So that's now another problem, because if you can't even announce one attraction closing to make way for the infrastructure that's going to eventually be this Avatar either experience, destination, or wherever the corporate name game they want to play for this IP, that's not looking too good when they can't even confirm one attraction to close. That is a good situation right there.
No, and that's where I think the issue is arising here. I don't think the issue is Avatar's viability. I think the issue that is causing the delay or whatever issue they might be having is where it's going to be put. Because you're right. Initially, we heard Monsters Inc. was going to close early 2026. But then we're hearing reports that, like, I think it was Dave from Fresh Baked. I think you and I reacted to one of his videos where that he was saying that he's hearing that it might be pushed out months and months now, the closure of Monsters Inc. And then we're hearing this early development. There seems to be some smoke here, and I feel like they're not sold maybe on where it's going to go. So we're kind of, and see, that's the thing. That's why it concerns me, because I feel like we're back to square one again with this whole thing, though. This is the same conversation we all had a year ago.
Yeah. Well, see, it's funny you mentioned that, being at square one, because when you look at the East Coast, oh my God. You look at Animal Kingdom, for example, Tropical Americas for the new Encanto attraction. It's in Encanto, right? Am I getting that right?
Correct.
Okay. The Encanto attraction, if you look at it, I forgot who posted it. They already have multiple steel structures up, or multiple walls of steel up for that new attraction. And we're only talking a year and a half since it was announced at D23, which you were present for that. And they ripped out all the other stuff they needed to make that happen. And they tore out Tom Sawyer's Island, and they're ready to go vertical on that pretty soon. So my question, and I would love to be part of a Q&A to ask tomorrow or someone from the company at WDI and say, how come, the Walt Disney World Resort and the East Coast, you guys announce stuff at D23, which people pay a ton of money to go to listen to you guys announce stuff. How come they're moving 100 times faster than we are out here in California, where we basically have the Walt's original Magic Kingdom, and we can't even get past announcing when one attraction is going to close. Right. But meanwhile, you're sitting there already building new attractions at Animal Kingdom, and on top of that, you guys didn't take any time at all to say goodbye to what once existed in those areas. You said, nope, we're throwing walls up, we're demoing immediately.
We're moving, yeah. And I don't see the same level of urgency here. There's only so many. DCA is not that big.
No,
it's not that big of a park. You only have a couple of options, Disney. So It's either going to go in the area where Monsters Inc. is, or it's going to go in the symbol lot. That's pretty much what we have here.
Yeah.
We've known, right? It's not difficult. We've known that forever. So if that's the sticking point again, which we're assuming, to be fair, right? We're assuming,
Sure.
but if that's the sticking point yet again, it's a little frustrating. It's taking this long to figure that out. We have some of the most brilliant creative minds in the theme park industry working at this company. I don't understand what is the holdup here with this particular thing. It's either that area or that area. What's it going to be? You know?
Yeah, no, 100%. And my problem is, people in the comments are going to obviously bring it up and say, well, Walt Disney World is priority because it's a resort. Well, let me ask you this then. If that's the angle that everyone wants to take, including the Walt Disney Company, then how in the hell can we raise prices for Magic Keys and ticket prices out here in Anaheim and sit there and price the locals out so you can attract more tourists from other states or other countries that find the Disneyland Resort, Walt's original Magic Kingdom, a must stop and a must do when they're in SoCal or even on the West Coast, period. How can you call the Disneyland Resort a tourist destination like Walt Disney World, even though it'll never be the same size as Walt Disney World?
Right.
But how can you call it a tourist destination when we can't even get past closing one attraction and we can't even figure out 2.5, if not almost 3 years of knowing about this Avatar experience destination land, wherever the hell they want to call it, and we can't even figure that out. But yet you have Walt Disney World building all this stuff with Tropical Americas, with the new Cars Land, the new Villains Land. Again, I share the same frustration because it's like, you guys move so much more faster out there. I get it. It's a tourist destination. But if you want to make the Disneyland Resort out here in Anaheim a tourist destination,
Right.
you can't sit there and take 3 years and come up empty, and the only answer you can come up with is to put on a social media post, which everyone in their hip hop reads and says, oh, we're in early development. Shouldn't you have been in early development 2.5 years ago? Why are we just hearing about this now?
Yes, and that's why it feels like we moved like five steps back with this.
Yes.
I feel like we went from like now we're like basically in the same spot we were like a year and a half ago. Like, oh, where are they going to put it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't be early development. Like, you should know where it's going because you announced that the Monsters Inc. ride's closing in a few months. We should have blueprints, everything ready to go, and all you need to do now is basically dig up move dirt and start building.
Well,
and that's what's concerning to me because I feel like this is a backpedal on Disney's part. This doesn't feel like I feel like it is an update, but it feels like they're kind of saying like, yeah, we're kind of going back to the drawing board. Go ahead, conductor.
No, absolutely on point. We are going back to the drawing board, whether they want to come out and just say it or we have to say it for them as content creators. I guess we'll say it for them since they can't even confirm this is a land or whatever the hell it is. What's got me more concerned on top of this Avatar, just to add more to the pile, is do you notice something? Disney announced at D23, and again, this was a year and a half ago when you and George were there. This is what cracks me up. They said, okay, behind Emotional Whirlwind, we're supposed to get a Coco attraction based off Shanghai Pirates. They said, we are going to actively start construction in late 2025. We are literally we're actually less than 2 weeks away from 2026, and we have not seen not one movement besides a whole bunch of spray paint markings all over the ground. And I don't know if they consider that movement, but I don't, basically, to me, and I don't mean to be insulting, this is not where I'm coming from, but
Right.
basically, I can hire someone with a spray can to go around crosswalks and stuff and spray these markers. I don't need Disney saying, "Oh, look at we took a picture of us spraying markings on the ground." No. When I'm sitting there paying hundreds of dollars to be at the Honda Center or just the convention center in general, and I'm sitting there listening to you guys come up on stage and say, "Hey, we are actively going to do construction for this new Coco attraction in late 2025, and you're actually going to see active construction, and yet we're less than 2 weeks away from 2026 and we have not seen not
Yeah.
one bit."
Yeah.
So
No.
you get that right. So I don't know what in God's name is going on.
No, I agree with you. It's frustrating because I've always been an advocate for DCA. I know a lot of fans and even Disney, I feel a lot of fans, including and Disney, don't take this park seriously because they see, well, it's not important. It's not Walt's park. Well, it is important. It has his name on the sign still, Disney, number one. Number two, it sits only feet away from his park. So, it matters to me just as much as his park. It sits in the shadow of his park.
Yeah.
So this park needs to be as close to as humanly possible with the quality.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like Disney as a company, and to be fair, aside from 2012, Cars Land, Buena Vista Street, that was all amazing, but they haven't really given DCA that level of love before that or after that. That
No.
was one tiny moment in time when they actually cared. But it's like, I feel like this park is constantly getting shafted, and it's a little frustrating because I feel like there's potential here and they keep sleeping on it. And I don't know what the deal is with this. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, here we are again with this. Now we have another DCA project and they don't know what they're going to do with it. And like you were saying, the Coco thing, it's just like, I don't know.
Well, see, I don't mean to go on a rant, but it's got me so in that mindset to do so.
Yeah, you're frustrated.
Look at Portos. Okay. We were very excited when they announced Portos, and it's been a back and forth game for a year and a half, maybe even longer than that. And they just decided to throw construction walls surrounding the former Earl Sandwich location that was always supposed to be temporary, but it was a very long temporary time. Then you had the 2 ticket booths, they finally put walls, something like that. Or you look at, Tortilla Joe's, there were some menu items I didn't care for, but most of it was actually pretty damn good. If they were not ready to move on building that new steakhouse and the barbecue joint, why in God's name did they close Tortilla Joe's? I kind of felt like that Mexican cuisine was perfect for downtown Disney. That's what irritates the living hell out of me is when, and Universal's guilty of this too, but Disney, like, hits it right on the head for some reason. I don't know why, but they love to close stuff up, demo it to the ground, and then take forever to build something, and then go back and forth with, "Oh, well, we don't know what we're going to build now. We don't know if we're going to negotiate a deal with Portos, or we don't know if we're going to build this steakhouse now. We're kind of back and forth." Or even better, yeah, we don't know what we're going to do with Tomorrowland, so we'll just keep refreshing a concept art that we've had there for about 10 years now on a construction wall that's hiding some ugly ass equipment for
Yeah.
Astro Orbiter. It's like,
Yeah.
I hate to even say it, but the team at WDI that's in charge of the Disneyland Resort, sorry to say it, I don't know if it's leadership. I don't know if the old school Imagineers have just left the building and a bunch of newbies are taking over, or what the deal is. But for whatever reason, the WDI team that's handling the Walt Disney World Resort has their stuff together. Out here in Anaheim, they do not know what what fingers pointing to what direction, and it's
Yeah.
infuriating because when you look at it, we just heard not too long ago, Magic Key prices went up, ticket sales went up, food, merch, lightning lane, parking, all those fees went up. And again, I have no problem with that stuff going up, but it's the way they went up. And what do they have to show for it?
No, you're right.
Absolutely nothing.
No,
So
you're
it's infuriating to me. It's like,
yeah,
why do I want to spend another? And I'm just throwing a number out. It's not
right.
accurate. If I wanted to do D23 next year, for the whole event, I'm meaning all the event stuff, from going to the Honda Center for the parks panel to the Disney Legends show, and then the studio show, and then all this other crazy nonsense, and paying what, 1,500 to $2,000 to sit there and sit in the Honda Center with 20 other thousand people, and sit there and say, okay, well, this is what you have to offer. I'd rather just hear the blue sky nonsense come back again than you guys say, oh yeah, we're still working on Avatar, we're still in early development. What, 3.5 years later? Come on,
Yeah.
man.
No, yeah, 100%. And I don't know if it's Imagineering or if it's like the executives in Burbank. I'm not really sure what is going on with Anaheim in particular, but you're right though, conductor. There seems to be an issue with the DCA projects. For whatever reason,
Yeah.
they're not. I mean, even the Avengers stuff, it took a while. Now, to be fair, the Avengers stuff, I'm a little bit more forgiving on that one because that was announced in 2019, and then we had the pandemic. And
Yeah.
then we also had a CEO change. So I even said it before, like with that, I'm more forgiving. I mean, I'm a fair person with this stuff. I mean,
Sure.
I will definitely give them a little bit of slack, or even a lot of slack on those Avengers rides, because of all that turmoil going on right when they announced it. I get that. But they don't have that here with Avatar. So I don't know what the beef is here. You only have maybe 2 spots to put this thing. You've had since 2022 to figure that out. I mean, and you've even and like I said, if you want to just go by the announcement at D23, you've had a year and a half to figure that out. And here we are with this whole, like, early development thing. Well, you've already said that Monsters Inc. was closing in early 26. So that's why it really kind of concerns me. I'm telling you, I mean, I'm really, really frustrated. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, maybe they will do what you've talked about it before, conductor. Maybe they're after Zootopia made $1.5 billion. Maybe they're considering turning Hollywoodland into Zootopia. I mean, I'm not against that idea. I think it's a great spot for it, but now we're going to decide to do that, because now if they do that, they have to Imagineer all that into that. So now it's going to be another, 2 and 3 years to map that out, another 4 years to build it. So now we're way beyond,
Well, see, this is what cracks me up. I vaguely remember if you did a video on it, and I don't know if I was part of it, but there was a news article somewhere online where we actually grabbed the WDI head Imagineer from one of the international parks. I think it
we
was
did.
one of the Asia parks, and
Yeah,
he
it was
was
Tokyo Disney.
okay. So he was supposed to be in charge of WDI for the Disneyland Resort.
Yes.
Now, I want to ask you, where has this guy been? Why hasn't he come out and said, okay, this is what's going on? You don't even hear from that guy.
Well, and
Once.
that's why I'm not sure if it is WDI that these issues are arising from. It could be, to be fair, it could be Burbank getting involved with this.
Well, see, that's where I'm getting at. That's why I kind of want to dive deeper into. I want to know if Iger's making these calls as his last crusade, not, no point intended, or it's the board, putting the stops to it, or it's something else. But
Weird.
I don't know. All I can tell you at this point going forward, whoever the CEO is, whether it's Josh Tomorrow, Dana Walden, or there's a dual CEO where tomorrow's involved and then someone else for the studio side. I'm telling you right now, once Iger steps away from the podium where all these cameras are flashing, you know, where he's the face of the company and now he's no longer the face of the company, even though he's going to stick around for a year and a half, I would honestly hope the board of directors will literally sit there and look at it, look at the Chapek situation and say, you know what, Bob, here's the deal. You could be on the board, you can help us make decisions, but you have no authority whatsoever. We either come to a unanimous decision on things or we don't.
Right.
You have no influence no longer because we will not have another Chapek situation with the next CEO. We will not have it because it almost destroyed what Walt built over 100 years ago. It will not happen.
Yeah, and I don't know if it is Bob, if it is Bob Iger, and again, we're speculating, but if it is Bob, he's not doing tomorrow any favors with this because
no,
if it's Iger and C-suite, they're not doing tomorrow any favor. Look, I'll be real with you. I've been critical of Josh over the years. When I see something, I'll say it. Hey, I don't agree with what he's doing. Lately, I've been very bullish and positive on tomorrow because I think he's actually handled a lot of things really, really well lately. I mean, to his credit, I really do. I think that a lot of the moves he's making have been smart. And I think that he's really showed vision with the video game stuff, what he's come out and said and all that. And the whole way he's navigated the CEO succession race where Dana Walden was in the lead by a long shot and he came up and like lapped her and he's way in the lead now. He's done a lot of good moves. But this is something that I think is potentially a black eye for him because you got on that stage tomorrow and you made this big thing about it's coming to DCA and you show this beautiful concept art and all this stuff. And we're a year and a half out from that announcement. And now we're in early development again. And it's like, see, that's a problem. It's a problem for fans. It's a problem for James Cameron, I think, too, because he's involved and you don't want to sour that relationship when you're trying to be CEO and the biggest name in Hollywood. You know, it's a real iffy thing. Now, one more thing, too, real quick before I go back to you, conductor, I will say this, too.
Sure.
I have seen a lot of comments. Anything Avatar. I see a lot of comments on social media. I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I am on Instagram. So I see a lot of Instagram stuff where fans are saying they don't want this land in DCA, right? Yeah. I understand what fans are saying with that, but I will say this. I've been in the community a really, really long time, and the fans were saying the same thing when they were trying to put it in Animal Kingdom, and now they love it in Animal Kingdom. I think when it comes to that, I think we should just have an open mind because we don't really know how it's going to turn out. So I think fans need to have a little bit of an open mind with this franchise going into DCA because there might be something that really surprises us. To be fair to Disney, because I do know that the fans didn't want it to go into Animal Kingdom years ago. They were complaining, well, this park is about real animals and not make-believe animals. And this is about a park about conservation and da-da-da-da-da. And they built it. And now it's like people love it. And now people use it as an example of how to do this land correctly. Oh, look at how good they did it in Animal Kingdom. So for that, I think the fans need to be a little bit more open-minded. Now, not to say it's going to turn out amazing. I don't know. But I think fans need to just have a little open mind with it going into DCA. But the rest of it, this delay stuff, early development stuff, that's on you, Disney. You know, and Disney, you got to do better because this is not okay. This is not okay, dude. This is not okay. This signals to me a pretty significant delay. Hopefully, you know, by D23, they get this whole thing sorted out. They tell us where it's going, what's happening, because I mean, even at D23, dude. Yeah. When is that? August?
It's August. So we literally have what? Let's see, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. So they have 8 months to figure this out. And I'm telling you right now, if they cannot figure it out in 8 months and get this straight, I'm telling you right now, it is going to be such a black mark on the company itself, not just Iger's legacy just going out the window. I'm talking about tomorrow's chances of winning any fans back,
right,
that have already been soured buy this information.
Well, no, you have to. Yeah, when you're CEO, and I did a video with our friend Sam chat about this recently. When you're CEO, you have to hit the ground running, in a really positive way. This is one thing Bob Iger did really, really well. When Bob Iger came in, first thing he did, he buys Pixar. Then he gets Oswald back. He was doing all these really good moves to kind of get the momentum on his side. If it's announced that tomorrow is the next CEO, but there's all this Pandora drama out the gate, that's not a good start.
No.
So, and again, we're not here to crap on tomorrow. Hopefully he watches these videos and maybe just gets constructive feedback, because I do think it's important to get this right on so many levels. And this is one of the biggest criticisms people have in the fandom when it comes to Disney and these projects. It's like this uncertainty, like you were saying, you pointed it out perfectly, Conductor. We had the hotel that they were going to build over there in downtown Disney. Then they scrapped that. And that led to all kinds of messes, because now we have an abandoned Rainforest Cafe building, right? Because they were going to bulldoze those. But then they changed their mind because of the tax stuff. But okay, then fast forward, now they destroy Tortilla Joe's, but now it's just sitting there, right? So it's been happening over and over and over again. Now we have this Avatar land, which we were promised in 2022. Okay, it was announced for DCA in 2024, and now we're in early development again, after they announced a few months ago that Monsters Inc. was closing in early 2026. So clearly something happened recently that changed their mind, because Monsters Inc. should be closing soon, and it should be well beyond early development at this point. So, and I know I'm repeating myself, but it's frustrating, because it's like, can we get DCA right for once? Like, why is it so hard to get DCA right? You guys at Disney managed to move all kinds of mountains, reroute a river, reroute the train, flatten the curbs. I mean, I remember all the crazy stuff they did in preparation for Galaxy's Edge. Clearly, they have a lot of smart people working there. Why can't we figure this out for DCA and get this thing done right? I don't get it, dude.
I don't understand it myself. When we watch, Disney's latest YouTube channel, the Imagineering YouTube channel, and we see the latest episode. I don't know if a new episode has popped up yet. I don't think so. But the latest episode, they show Olaf, this animatronic, and they show this wonderful, beautiful Arendelle in Disneyland Paris, which, no disrespect, I'm so happy that they brought that land. It's sad that it went to an international park, but Disneyland Paris apparently needed it. But again, this ties into exactly what we're talking about with the Pandora thing, because if you think about it, the Olaf character, perfect example of this. The Olaf character. How many times has Disney spent the money to develop a animatronic like Olaf and others to roam around in the parks, in the lands, and only last for a very little time, and then they get thrown in the storage and no one ever sees them ever again. And they spent all that money to build them, to train the people to, control them, because a lot of these animatronics, they still have someone in the background in the crowd with his tablet, messing around and making sure the animatronic can talk and interact with guests and whatnot. So there's a lot of money spent on that, but they sit there and build these things. They debut them in the parks for very little time, and then they shove them in the storage. It's almost like a commitment issue. It's the same thing with this Pandora thing. They came out guns blazing in 2022 with Bob Iger announcing, or he said, I correct me if I'm wrong, OG, but during the earnings call, I think he accidentally slipped out the word land. And then he had to backtrack, or someone backtracked and said, no, it's an experience. And then at D23 in 2024 that you and George were part of, then they say, oh, look, here's concept art. It's going in the DCA and the Hollywood backlot. Okay, that was a year and a half ago. Now we're only 8 months from D23 again in 2026. You imagine, seriously, you imagine 8 months from now, if they can't figure this out, what's gonna wind up happening? In all reality, I have no problem of Avatar coming to DCA, but it shouldn't have been pointed out from the get. And I don't know what, like you've mentioned, I don't know what they've promised James Cameron for trying to squeeze Avatar in the Hollywood backlot. I don't know what they promised him, but I'm telling you right now, if I was WDI and I was having a meeting with Bob Iger, Damaro, James Cameron, myself, and my WDI executive team, I could tell you right now, just by the mere fact of it, I want to say no, no, no. We're not shoehorning one of our biggest IPs, the biggest franchise that's going to have many movies to come and years to come, to sit there and shoehorn it in a land that it should not go in. And why don't we just decide to put it in the Simba parking lot, have a bigger footprint, and be done with it, and then save the Hollywood backlot for something else. It's not like the Hollywood backlot needed to be closed immediately. Yes, it's a vacant land that hardly offers anything, like aka Tomorrowland and Disneyland, but to sit there and announce that they're going to close the land, announce they're going to close an attraction they can't even give us a date on, and then on top of that, again, all speculation, but
Yep.
when we reacted to David from Fresh Baked, and he's hearing that his sources don't even know when they're going to close the Monsters attraction, and saying, oh, well, we're not even going to start on Avatar until we're almost done with the Avengers attractions, and we're not even a quarter way through even building the blueprints for the Eastern Gateway. And if that's correct, and they want to wait until Avengers is done, they want to wait until they build the Eastern Gateway with the Sky Bridge, we will not see construction for Avatar happen until 2030.
No, I
Maybe
know.
longer than that. And that is concerning. By 2030, I kid you the freak not, Villains Land will be open, Cars Land will be open, freaking the Tropical Americas will be open. Hell, the Lion King attraction in Disneyland Paris will be open. At that time, hell, me, you, and Bricky will probably be planning a trip to Paris, for God's sake, to go check out the Disneyland Paris resort by the time they even put a shovel on the ground.
No,
It's infuriating as hell.
no, it is. It is. It is. It's very frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. And hopefully they can figure this out. And I hope we're wrong, conductor. I would love to come back on a video with you in a few weeks' time, because we get news from about Pandora, and we can come on the video and be like, hey, you know what? We were wrong. It's full steam ahead. We got the announcement. It's going into, they're going to start construction next month or whatever. I would love to have to do that kind of video. I hope that's the case. I'm just really concerned when they tell us they're in early development. It sounds like they're buying themselves a lot more time, and they shouldn't be buying themselves more time, because this thing was announced years ago. So very, very concerning. But again, I hope tomorrow, I hope if your people ever watch this or whatever, I just hope you can get this done, man, because this park really needs it. We need a top tier experience in DCA to really compete with Disneyland across the way. Coco, another thing, we got to get moving on these things. So I just hope they can figure out whatever they're trying to figure out. I don't know, conductor, but we'll see. But go ahead.
Well, I want to ask you this, not to leak out anything from your video with Drew, but I want to ask you just point blank.
Yeah.
Does he share the same concerns that me and you are sharing right now in this video about what the heck is going on here?
Well, no, because here's the thing. We didn't really dive into it because this news came out after our video.
Okay.
So this post he made, I think, was from today. Our video was a few days ago.
Sure.
So we didn't have this information a few days ago, but we did touch upon it a little bit. And I asked him in the video, and the video is up right now. But I
Sure.
asked him, I said, "Hey, do you think it's going to happen like in Hollywood land?" And he said, "Yeah." He said he thought it's pretty much set in stone, like it's moving forward. But he said that before the post,
I'm
so I don't know how. If maybe he's changed his mind too. I don't know. I don't want to speak for him, but
no.
on the video, he seemed pretty confident it's going where they said it was going to go.
I'm very curious to hear what his reactions are now.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, and I'm concerned of what he thinks now compared to a few days ago when you did the video with him. And again, I have no problem of any theme park, whether it's Disney, Universal, Cedar Fair, planning stuff out. All I ask as someone that's basically an investor at this
Right.
point, because we do invest into these parks. I know it
Right.
doesn't make logical sense, but we do. By owning a Magic Key, that's investment. By buying stuff in the park, that's investment. By
Correct.
sitting there taking time out to sit there and travel down there and go to the resort, that's investment. So the way I look at it is we are all investors. And the one thing that I can say that irritates me more than anything else is a company that loves to brag and loves to sit there and announce details that they are not 100% sure that's going to happen. I have
Yeah.
no problem of any company planning stuff out, saying, "Hey, we'll give you updates along the way." But when you have people that paid a lot of money to sit in the stadium arena to listen to the park's chairman, Josh Tomorrow, possibly the next CEO, go
Right.
on stage and say, "Hey, we are building Avatar. We can't call it a land. We're calling it an experience at the time. Now they're calling it a destination all of a sudden." You know, don't sit there and tell us, "Oh yeah, it's going to have this, it's going to have that," until you are concrete certain. That's where I have the biggest problem. They sit there and announce stuff to get people excited. I understand that. But the way I look at it from looking, from the outside in, you
Right.
announce too much detail when you even when you're not even certain about it. So you're shooting yourself in the foot
Yep.
before you even get started.
No, well said, conductor. Well said, mic drop on that. It's unfair to the fans. It is. It's unfair to the fans when you go out there and you get on stage and you say, "Yeah, we're getting this boat ride, this high-tech boat ride. We're getting this, that, and the other." This is I understand not getting mentally married to concept art. I've been saying that for years, okay? I've been saying it for years. You can't get mentally married to, like, the minutia, but the basic ideas, the basic concept, okay, a land, a next gen boat ride, the basic core stuff you're announcing should happen.
Yeah.
Now, you can change details here and there along the way. That's fair.
Sure.
That's part of that creative process. But to sit there and just to completely nuke the plans and now we're in early development and now it's see that's where I have an issue with it because it's unfair to us as fans when we get it when you make that announcement and now as fans we're not sure if this thing is even going to happen now. You know, I based on what Drew was telling us, I do believe it will still happen, but I do believe these comments though kind of point to a delay and kind of point to they're unsure as to what they're going to do with it and like where it's going to go and things like that. And that's concerning to me, you know. And like you said, they might not start this thing now for like, you know, another 3 or 4 years because they
And,
can't figure out where they want to put it.
yeah, and that's a massive problem because when I look at it, you know, that's why you see a lot of infrastructure work that did happen at the Disneyland Resort in the last couple of years with the new entrance gates, which again, I haven't experienced Walt Disney World's gate system yet. I've been told it's extremely more sufficient than what we
Right.
have now because we got
It
Disneyland
is.
Paris is a system. But, you know, by them spending all this money in infrastructure, knowing that one of the biggest sporting events is coming to Southern California in less than 3 years flat,
Right.
and you can't even decide what's going on here. Are you telling me that you're going to decide to start working on Avatar, this, Eastern Gateway, the Coco attraction, have all this interruption, all this, construction walls, all this disaster mess when you have, 100 times more, you know, people in Southern California for 2 weeks? The best time to be generating, or should I say printing money at this point. And don't get me wrong, they would still be in construction, when the Olympics happen. But I would feel a lot better if they were at least halfway with the project by that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
When
They
we
need to get,
when
yeah,
when
you're
we
right.
when we can't even decide on what's going on here, but yet Walt Disney World can figure it out. They 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 didn't even blink an eye, and they already ripped stuff down, and a lot of the projects they announced at D23 are dirt, getting ready to be built,
Go
and
vertical.
and go vertical like you're saying. And then you got the competitor 50 miles away. You got Universal, a studio that still generates hundreds of millions of dollars a year in the movie industry, building they build a massive roller coaster. Then we're getting security zones. We're seeing all these changes in City Walk with new restaurants. We're gonna see a hotel come very soon. We're seeing new updates on the studio tour. We're seeing possible tear downs of old sound stages for theme park expansion. Okay, so you're telling me a theme park that is literally on the same lot as a movie studio that, like I said, generates hundreds of millions of dollars a year, can move faster than you guys, and you're not connected to a studio. Your studio's in Burbank, basically right down the street from Universal.
Right.
So you're just a theme park, and you can't even decide what's going on here. And I love your analogy that you said earlier. DCA is steps away from Walt's original Magic Kingdom. I can only imagine, and again, this gets me riled up, but I don't mean insult to injury. I can only imagine what Walt Disney himself is thinking right now. In his mind is
Yeah.
like, what in God's name is going on here?
Well,
Because
there's
that's
some.
what I'd be thinking.
No, you're right. There's something going on with this. I don't know what it is with this Avatar project in particular, especially where they're having the hardest time figuring this thing out. And I don't know if it's internal fighting on where this thing should go. I don't know what the problem is, but come on, team. We've had a
Yeah,
long time to figure this out. Okay. And then, to tell us it's an early development again is like concerning. So, but we'll be fair. Look, we'll be fair. It could be just semantic word, whatever. And maybe in a month from now, they'll announce something really concrete and we'll be wrong. And I hope we are. I
I
hope
hope
we
so too.
are. Yeah. But conductor, it's always good to have you on the show, brother. I appreciate you as always. If you can remind us everybody where they could find you on social media, I'll be linking it down below as well. So
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me on. I know I went on a little bit of a rant, but when we're theme park enthusiasts and we're dealing with this type of stuff from a multi-billion dollar company, it's irritating as hell. But like OG says, you can find me theme park conductor on YouTube and Blue Sky at theme park conductor. You can find me on Instagram at theme_park_conductor. You can also find me on X at theme conductor, TikTok at theme park conductor one, and every Sunday at either 5 or 7 p.m. for Conductor Sunday live stream, where we talk everything from Disney to Universal news, and we speculate, we comment, we talk rumors, and it's a great time. And we have a lot of live streams coming up. One particularly that I'm more excited about than any is when we're going to have Orange Go 55 on, and we're going to have him on before this many times before, but when it happens, we're going to have him, Hey Bricky, and we're going to have Tommy Toon World, and we're going to pick his brain on what we should experience at the Walt Disney World Resort. What should we skip? What is a must do, must don'ts? Because this guy knows everything, it seems like, between Disneyland and Walt Disney World. And I cannot wait to do more reaction videos with the one and only Orange Go 55.
100%, conductor. Thank you so much for joining today. Thank you all for watching this episode of OG55. Comment down below with all your thoughts. Are conductor and I overthinking this, or do we have a point with this whole thing about early development? What do you think about it? Yeah, I also kind of went on a little bit of a rant, which is kind of rare for me. I don't typically get that, like, you know, ranty, but like, honestly, like the DCA situation has really frustrated me for a long time at Disney. So this is one more thing. I mean, we're finally promised a good, you know, top tier, best of the best kind of thing for this park, and they just can't seem to get it right ever with DCA. So it's frustrating. So I am frustrated. But again, I hope I'm wrong. I really, really do. I'm rooting for Josh. I'm rooting for, you know, the company. I want this thing to work out. But come on, guys, let's get it together. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this episode of OG50. Oh.
I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the ones, but let's not be selfish, and because we're not going to change the world, let's not talk about how we should change it.
Thank you so much for watching OG55. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and become a member today.